Welcome everybody to episode 130 of the Lookout Podcast. Of course, I'm here, Meelz. I am here with Jay Giacotto himself.
Yeah,
we're here. We're fresh off of the most awkward. You missed the Tokyo Ghoul episode. That was your episode.
I almost bought COVID to the island, man.
Listen, you almost did.
Had to get a Nimbus and separate myself.
The one show you've been trying to tell me to watch since literally after we finished Dragon Ball, you said, "Oh, we got to do Tokyo Ghoul. Oh, we got to do Tokyo Ghoul." You're not even there for it.
It was supposed to be one of them ones, and it wasn't. And I wanted to at least let people know, hey, it was one of them ones for just a second. And I'm sure Jamal explained what happened and how it just did not become that. But
hey, man, just talk a little bit about Tokyo Ghoul real quick. Just give me a little
it was really my main hit to horror anime, and it actually having a story and it not just supposed to be scary or just straight gruesome, or and I was really invested with the main character because obviously he has an amazing design, and who doesn't like the way that it looked? And it was probably there was nothing else like it that I was watching. Nothing at the time. So yeah, it was brand new for me, and I was invested to the point where I was buying Funkos and shit of that nature.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I had bought the first volume of the manga, which I still have, but it got that Promised Neverland type of thing that happened to it, and it literally jumped.
Most of the second season wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
Y'all were wilding.
It wasn't. I mean, that was it though. That was it, and you knew it was over.
I mean, yes, absolutely.
And it is what it is. But I still think that first season is really it's so different, and I think if it came out today, if that was our introduction today, it would be up there with everything else that's coming out. You know what I mean?
No, you're definitely right. Kind of stretching out from there, or moving on from there. Shout out to Tokyo Ghoul. Make sure you guys check out that episode too. I want to give congratulations to two things. The first thing we're going to give congratulations to is Subslide Dubslide. Shout out to Subslide Dubslide. Last week they had their season one finale of their episode. So I'm very, very proud of them. Shout out to Jay, shout out to D, shout out to everyone for covering 20 plus Dragon Ball movies and specials.
It's a lot of movies, bro. A lot of specials for Dragon Ball.
Listen, man, the people are excited for it. The people love the conversation, and I love the conversation. So just want to congratulate them for a successful first season, and they will be back for a second season. We've talked about the second season.
Renewed.
I know what the second season. They've definitely been renewed. I know what the second season is going to be about, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it, especially everyone who enjoyed the first season. I expect you guys to enjoy this season a lot more because we're conversations will be had, and I know between J and between D, definitely D, conversations will be had and people will be tested and stuff like that. So make sure you check out that season 2 of Subslide Dubslide. Will be, it will be here at some point in the future. Another congratulations I want to give. Dragon Ball Superhero.
Say the numbers is up, bruh.
Number one in the
numbers is up, bruh. Niggas came back and said, "No, we got something for the box office. Don't worry."
Listen, biggest first day of any anime movie in the United States ever.
Didn't it knock out Pokemon or something?
Yes, the first Pokemon. You know how insane that is?
That's a long record. That's a long record to hold for Pokemon. So shout out Pokemon. But yeah, that's amazing for Super.
Pokemon was huge.
Yeah, massive. Like back then, you're standing in line to buy tickets for movies. There were no apps. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The Dragon Ball, I'm thinking about Dragon Ball. The Dragonite card that you got, there was no incentive to go into this movie. You just have to love Dragon Ball. Listen, At least there was incentive. You got the Mew card or you got the Dragonite card.
Yeah, you knew why you were there.
Or Electabuzz or whatever the hell they gave when they, the promotional for this movie. But to do that, and then having, I believe it was the third highest opening weekend for an anime behind the Pokemon movie.
That's really tight, man.
And I believe it was Jujutsu Kaisen. No, it might have been Demon Slayer. Sorry.
So, yeah.
It was Demon Slayer. So to have that opening weekend today. I mean, anime. There is money in anime. There is stuff in anime.
More than ever before. Yeah, we're still
there
here.
there is a bag that is out there for anime, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people who are going to reach for that bag in the future. I feel like we'll be going back to the theaters for animes at least once or twice a year, every year.
I think we're there now. Yeah, hey man, we make it to a point where it's more than that. I really think that, like, I've kind of said it. Me and Eric were talking about it about a decade ago. Like, you know, Hollywood will eventually, I don't want to say get tired of superhero movies, but anime is already an extension of like being a superhero to an extent. So I think Hollywood will get there. But yeah, just the fact that it's staying from an anime base and not live action, it tells you like, okay, we can keep doing it like this. We don't need these to, you know, hire these actors to play these characters and like fuck shit up. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. These movies are making a lot of money, man. So
absolutely. Have you been able to see it in the theaters yet? Do you have any?
I haven't. I literally was, you know, I had COVID when it dropped, so I actually did not. But yeah, it's still showing. I'll make it happen this weekend.
Listen, great experience. You know, help yourself. There's more than enough seats to go around. Trust me. At this point, there's a big moment we got to talk about. So, Big Eyes has ended their journey for now. So it's up to us to carry the manga.
You got some on your
mind? Manga banner. I got stuff on my mind, but I want to preface this. My people who love My Hero Academia, if you don't like spoilers, just skip to the One Piece part. Because I'm going heavy deep into spoilers right now. It's a spoiler. We're getting a spoiler territory right now.
What the fuck is going on?
So
I've seen some hashtags on the timeline. I've seen a few panels on the timeline, but obviously I can't understand them to a degree.
So we're in the final arc of My Hero Academia. Well, I don't know if it's the final arc, but we're definitely in the final
phase. Yeah.
We're in the end game of this thing. We're at the final war. The war. Do you know about the initial war? You know there was an initial war.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so there's a war that's going to happen in season 6 that everyone's looking forward to, hopefully. And then there's a second war, which is occurring right now, and it's really the war for it all. This is the brawl for it all. Like this is it. There have already been casualties in the war. Biggest casualty thus far, seemingly, has been Bakugo. Bakugo died a number of chapters ago. Got pierced right in the heart.
Damn, made sure.
She
ain't come back, bruh.
Hey, man. So here's where...
Or can you? I don't know. That's what's going on. You're telling me this nigga got stuck in the heart, and now what?
So here's where it comes into play. He might be back.
Okay.
And that has been the source of contention for fans and stuff like that. So I wanted to do a bigger discussion on the death of anime characters. Not a big discussion, but a mini big discussion.
Yeah, got you.
With anime, with deaths in anime, it's a tricky thing because I have to see the body into the ground and the people mourning over it for them to be actually dead.
Because you don't really know until like, I mean, even
this was pretty conclusive. I mean, it was pretty conclusive at the beginning.
Okay.
So Bakugo died. They had the follow up chapter. He was still dead. It was like, oh, everyone's
they bury him, bro?
This shit is Bakugo. They didn't bury him, but because he died on the warfield, so he's just his body's still there. So what they're doing now. So there's 2 heroes with them. There's currently Best Genius, our guy.
I saw a heart shaped like a gene. Now this all makes sense, bro.
Denim Don Dada.
I saw the denim heart on the timeline. I was like, "What is this?" No, it was a heart, but like it was out of denim.
I know. So what is happening is, hearts are made out of fibers. And they're planning on using some combination of Best Genius and what's my man's name? Ed Shot. So I don't know if you know Ed Shot. Ed Shot is that guy who can pierce. So season 3 they do the big raid, and it's that hero that like goes into everyone's necks, and that's how he disables them.
Okay,
so he looks like Strider from fucking Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's that guy. Apparently he's going to sacrifice himself to go in and become or piece together Bakugo's heart and become Bakugo's heart?
I mean, sounds fire. I don't know. Like I mean, hey, I told you, I saw a heart shaped out of jeans. I had no idea of the context until this moment.
I'm glad.
If that's the case, that is something I've never seen My Hero do. But that's interesting and incredible. So, it's very, very like can't just get Dragon Balls. Got to make this shit work.
So, what do you feel about false deaths in anime or manga or something like that? Do you feel any strong way?
Yeah, actually, I do. I'm dealing with something with Gege right now with Nobara. You know, it's it's like
funny you say that, because that was definitely a debate when this Bakugo thing happened, because you're like, is he really dead?
Yeah, because
it was me versus Cyrus and Jamal, who are definitely JJK fandom right there.
Right, you already know, yeah.
And I'm just like, I pretty much my thing was like, hey, you know, they were talking about fake deaths, and it was like, yo, if this Bakugo death is fake, like, fuck them, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yo, how's Nobara doing?
Because I like, Nobara's, like, from everything that I can compile, she's not dead. But
she's not dead if you don't see the body, no.
Yeah, she's not dead. There's something that is going to happen, at least in my opinion, based off how it's seen. And yeah, I think if you're going to be offended by it, though, I don't know. Maybe you're not watching close enough, because this shit happens a lot. You know, like, you got to kind of accept it. And sometimes when you wish for it, and you like, I had a thing obviously with, you know, like Merriam passing away. Obviously, like, I didn't want him to die, but like, you know, I understand that he's the big bad and he has to go. But you always, they even give you a false finish there. You know, with like, oh, well, there was another baby inside. That, you know, there's like little things that like, keeps you going. And I do have an issue with it, at least from like the Nobara thing is annoying to me. So right. I understand, but at the same time, it happens in every single one of these type of like animes. Like if there's fighting, it happens. Somebody's gonna like die or maybe not die, and you'll see him in 100 chapters, and it'll be a big thing, and it'll be amazing. Whatever, like, you know, you move on. So come on, man. We grew up with Dragon Ball.
It's absolutely. That's the first things first, for sure. Nonetheless, I mean,
that would be crazy though. Interesting.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, interesting kind of like ideas there. Pretty creative. I'll say
we have a thing on the A show called the Lipo card, which is let it play out. And I'm currently going to use my Lipo card. Granted, I do believe that this thing is ridiculous. To me, if Bakugo, such a main character, is going to die, let him go. Just let him go. But then again, Vegeta is supposed to die in Dragon Ball, and he's been kicking and in every movie ever since.
Vegeta literally got buried, bruh.
Buried, had a great episode, great send off, all the other things, and then he's back. But Bakugo, I think, you know, we don't lend as much credence to the stuff that happens in Dragon Ball to My Hero Academia, because they have Dragon Ball has a plot device that brings people back to life, and My Hero Academia is not supposed to have that. But you know what?
My Hero ends up taking a lot of shit for things that everyone does, though, and it's kind of like, it's weird. It's like a weird, like, I think you're kind of obsessed with My Hero, but you pretend you're not, and that's okay.
But I think people are definitely down on My Hero, and I see why. But I think it also, once you have a series that goes as long as this, there are definitely peaks and valleys, and it's really hard to continue to be original. You can write a great 120 chapter piece of work, but we're in 364 chapters of My Hero Academia.
I get it.
It's gonna get weird at some point.
Naturally, everything does.
And I think the same thing is going to happen. I mean, to be honest with you, I think the same thing currently happened in JJK.
Yeah, it's happening like right now.
It's Dragon Ball, that shit happened like 20 years ago. It fell off. It just hit the shit.
I do think it's unfair though to kind of like judge the series as a whole though when that does happen, because these are real people writing these things. So naturally, you're gonna have to sit back and take some of the stuff that kind of runs weird, but. You know, we'll get the anime, and it probably will hit
They'll put some
hard.
music. Yeah, they'll put some music
Yeah,
under
and
it.
we'll be
It'll be
extremely happy
fire.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be fire.
it happens.
All right, that's kind of the discussion what I had.
Crazy. Yeah, AD didn't need to hear that.
No, AD didn't need to hear that. But we have AD on the next part of the show. Next part of the lookout, we're going to be talking about One Piece. We're finally talking about One Piece. So, stay tuned, guys. It's One Piece. On the lookout.
Monkey D. Luffy wants to become king of the pirates. The only problem? He can't swim. But he's gathered a crew. And together, they'll seek the legendary treasure of Gold Roger. Things are gonna get a little strange along the way.
Who is that rubber boy?
One Piece premieres Saturday, April 23rd from 10 to 11 p.m. Don't let the straw hat fool you. Only Toonami.
It is time for us on the lookout to finally talk about it. To talk about the white whale, the one thing that we haven't talked about.
It's happening.
130 episodes of this podcast thus far. Come on now.
Not once? Jesus.
I mean, we've hinted. Nah, we haven't talked about it. I'm not even going to count any discussion.
It's always been in passing of us like, we got to talk about One Piece one day.
One day. Today is the day. It is the final as we set sail of Summer Akame House. We're headed to the Grand Line because we're talking about One Piece for the first time, and I would not like to talk about One Piece. Let me say this. I could never talk about One Piece without including the man himself, the man whose favorite anime, favorite manga, favorite everything.
Yeah.
This man obviously has been invested in this for multiple decades at this point, so I don't even blame him. But we have the other half of the Big Eyes podcast coming this week. We have AD. Yeah. Welcome to the show, bro.
What's going on? I'm glad that you got the call, man.
I'm glad you stepped in the door. What's going on, bruh? One Piece, okay.
You already know what time it is.
Let me ask you this, AD. When's the last time you reread, rewatched the beginning of One Piece before this?
Before this, probably like back in May. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Oh, come on.
Damn. You should have known.
I have like a quarterly thing where I just like start One Piece over from the beginning and just
I actually feel that. I understand that in a few ways.
No. You know why I don't feel that? One Piece is over 1,000 episodes. The gall to start it over to me is insane.
Well, he's not starting it over to finish it. I don't think he's just kind of like letting it run.
Yeah. Like I can get invested at any point because I got caught. So here's the thing, right? I first caught up to One Piece about 12 years ago, back where it was around like episode 400. That was like impaled down for those who watch One Piece and who are up to speed where it is. That's like,
and 12 years ago, you're obviously obtaining these episodes by means,
different ways.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Ways, yeah.
But in addition to that, because the funny thing with One Piece and how it began, because I'll say, like, I remember watching it or just seeing it at my grandma's house one time. Like, it didn't come on Cartoon Network just yet. It was on, like, Fox Kids or something like that. And I just remember seeing the commercial, like, who the fuck? Like, who is this guy? And I was invested mostly because, I heard him say Monkey D. Luffy, and my middle initial is D. So I was like, oh, shit. Let me goddamn, there's some relation there. Like, let me go ahead and, like, tap in and see what's going on.
Kids. It's funny, bro.
Yeah, it be that one little thing where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna have to just tap in because I can relate. And then 4 kids happened, and it wasn't the greatest thing, but when Funimation got a hold of it, I think they dubbed like the first 200 or so episodes, and then like had a pause for a second. But I was just locked in from that point. After I watched them,
you had a pause to fucking dub Dragon Ball. That's the whole fucking cast.
Yeah, literally.
So just catching up way back then, man, it was just like something that when you get invested, you could really get invested in. One Piece has its moments. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but it did that thing where it filled that spirit of adventure for me that, no offense, but Pokemon just like started to waver on for me. Like I was like, man, it just did that thing for me, man. So like I just fell in love.
Hey
People
man,
it's with the no offense. I mean, I get it, bro. Like, yeah, Pokemon was an adventure after a while. You just gotta like get through it, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's Pokemon. But I
hey
feel
man.
you on the replay
I,
value of like season one because I do it sometimes with Hunter x Hunter. I don't know, Mills. You ever turn on season one, My Hero, and just let it rock for a little bit?
yeah,
Yeah,
earlier this year.
yeah. See, it happens. It happens. That's why I said I understand because it's like every now and then you just turn it on. Like you're not really playing it to like
But I'm gonna keep it.
finish it.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I skipped like the first like
Hey, bro.
nine, eight,
I hear
nine
you.
episodes of My Hero season. I'm like,
I
all right,
hear you.
let's just get to the terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but funny thing you say that. So I want to just kind of recall AD and my origin story. So we used to be before there was Twitch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is the direct predecessor for Twitch. I don't even know if it's the direct one, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it's close
Um,
enough.
so there was this website called Justin.tv,
Hmm.
and you used to be able to. It was just like Twitch, but it was like
Yeah. But it was like
2009, 2010.
schemed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But this was before there was all those DMCA regulations and all these other things. So people would stream so much other stuff on it. So
Hmm.
you would go to a channel and they'd be streaming WWF from like 1996 through
Yep.
2009, or you would go to another channel and they'd be streaming Boy Meets World every episode. And there was this one channel that was streaming obviously Pokemon.
Yep.
So I was in there like swimwear. And
Yeah,
80 was in there like swimwear.
Of
So
course.
that's initially like our like back in the day, like 2010. This is where I know him from, like the Justin.tv kind of like chat and stuff like that. And that's why I've always like he's always talked about other anime and stuff like that and like One Piece. I had no intention on watching any other thing. I think maybe other than that I'll probably watch Yu-Gi-Oh!
hmm
Um but
There was a
that's
channel
where
that was streaming like Dragon Ball heavy, and I would be in there too. Like,
absolutely. And so that's kind of where AD and I crossed paths initially. And then that's when I knew for like Big Eyes Podcast, I always knew he was a manga fan, anime fan, and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh my God, he would be the perfect person to join
Right.
on this because I know AD and everything like that. But One Piece, so I feel you because obviously Pokemon has fell off and the story is not a through line. It doesn't follow all the way through like One Piece does or really any other modern anime does. So I completely feel you on that. It's very hard to keep up with over 1,000 episodes of Pokemon, which they do have as well, even though I do it. Um,
yeah.
but One Piece, whew, bruh, just saying it sends shivers down people's spine
I
in
know,
terms
right?
of like, can you catch up? I interviewed Ricochet for Crunchyroll the other week, and I'm still like, yo, what episode you up to? I'll hit him up right now and ask him what episode are you on to. He's still probably in the 500s, maybe a 600, but he's still not there yet.
Yeah.
um are
Hey, man.
you so you've been since you caught up, you were then been there week for week for whatever happens, even in the manga,
Um. Yes
or
and
did you
no.
ever fall off?
There were moments where I did fall off. I'm not gonna hold you. Like there was a point where I was like, all right, this arc is kind of taking too long, or I'm reading week to week, but I would rather let the chapters or something build up. So I will fall off for like a little second,
Yeah.
wait for like maybe a spoiler to come out saying, yo, sound the alarms, the arc is over, da 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 da. And I'm like, all right, bet, time to binge. So I would just like keep up that way. And then if the arc was like really good, hitting on something, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna tap in and see where it follows up next. I think it wasn't until around the 800s where I was like, you know what, this arc is so good, or we're heading into such a fantastic territory that I gotta like tap in week to week now. Like, so I think that was around like 2017 where I actually like re-caught myself back up all the way through One Piece again, and then just like been on it every week since. Like,
Hey, man.
I blame
Bless.
anime and manga just for being really really good. I think the 2016, I mean definitely in the 2010s, anime just started the level of it just started amping up, and I think it helped with so many other anime. Damn you, traffic. But I think it helped with so much other anime and interest surrounding other anime. I mean, when you're in there with the the Attack on Titans, the My Heroes, the what else is going on at this point? I guess Super is back at this point, but
Yeah,
so many
Super is
other.
back.
It's so much that's out there that you're like, let me pick it up. It's the same thing with Pokemon. I think for a long time, Pokemon just kind of like did its own thing for kids, catch this thing, hijinks, etc., etc. And now you can see even with the current arc that's currently going on in anime, um, they themselves have heightened the intensity and the storylines
They
and all
had
the
to.
other stuff like that.
Yeah,
They had to. You have to meet it there,
Yeah.
and I think One Piece has definitely contributed to that as well. I've seen so many different. I mean, you go to the Watch Mojos and they have top 20.
yeah. You can
One
all
Piece.
day
Yeah,
play videos.
you can be there all day with this, but let's start from the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go where it all started. Let's start at the Romance Dawn arc. A great name for an arc. I have no idea what our references to. Maybe you
It's
can.
just about romanticism, like the spirit of adventure, the spirit of dreams, like which is
Mm,
basically the all encompassing thing of One Piece. Like, and it's funny that we're starting from the beginning, like because when comparing it to the manga, like episode one, chapter one, those don't even align. Chapter one starts off with you know Luffy and Shanks and
Mm,
him declaring like I want to be king of the pirates. Him eating the devil fruit, and then we jump into like the thing with Kobe in episode one. So it's like,
okay.
yeah, that's one of those differences. But at the same time, I think it still captures that thing, that essence of the character that Luffy is, because he's not even the first Straw Hat we see on screen. We see like Nami, you know, robbing niggas on a boat. You know what I'm saying? Like we get an idea of her character, and like we're like, okay, we know it's about this rubber man, but where he at though? You know?
mm, mm, mm. Everything. So I want to preface this by saying, so we're covering the East Blue Saga in its
Yes,
entirety. So this is just literally. I don't know how much this contributes to the actual story. It's maybe like 1% of the actual story.
probably 60 episodes, 50 some
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
It's a small droplet of
Yeah.
I think it sets up everything so well. Like I recommend to anybody who, like, if you watch these first 60 episodes or whatever, like, and you aren't really feeling it, whether like if the animation is something that bothers you, I mean, like, you might have to get over that. Like there's an
You have
OVA that
to.
there's an OVA that actually like ups the quality of it, and it just like runs through the quintessential points of One Piece, at least for that arc. So I
Oh
mean,
damn! You could have
yeah.
told me that, bro. I spent
Shit, what was it? 20 episodes? 30?
whole 2 weeks running
I
through this
mean,
damn thing.
hey man, I
Goddamn.
mean, I recommend that after the fact only because it's like, all right,
Of
you
course.
get to at least see like the fun moments, because like One Piece would be funny as hell sometimes.
Now,
Like,
One Piece do be that's the one thing I think I got from it myself because I don't have an origin story with this shit. This is my origin story. Like these past like 2-3 weeks, literally. Like I don't really like have. I never had like heavy interest in it. Even like it kind of got stuck in that Naruto bubble, and it just happened. I just missed it. Like
yeah,
I got everything else. I was involved in Gundam, obviously, and Yu Yu and Dragon Ball and all that crap, but I missed the mark.
yeah, man, that does happen. Like,
But
I felt like
it's
I
it.
did too.
Right. Nah, but nonetheless, I think just the beginning of this and kind of telling the whole story, the East Blue Saga is a lot about it for better term, it's a lot about the introduction and Luffy building his cast of the Straw Hat Pirates, and that's
Mm.
kind of where
Yeah,
and it's not even all the Straw Hats. I mean, this isn't like you're introduced to everybody, but you get the stories behind the first 4 or 5 that join his crew, and you get a lot of backstory. You go through the arc, you see the couple battles that he go through, you see essentially his determination to become the greatest pirate ever and find the One Piece, which is you know, this treasure that he's still literally to this day is still on the journey
yeah,
to find.
Salute.
yeah.
The journey never ends. Is it a real thing or is it not? I never know if they actually
One
just
Piece is real.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! It is real.
The One
Like
Piece
okay.
is
they
real.
keep saying it over and over. They say it around like episode 500. The One Piece
Mm,
is real. They say it in like episode 1,000 or somewhere around 1,000. Like One Piece actually does exist, and I'm gonna find it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's even a
Ooh.
point like later down the line where one of the people on Gold Roger's ship, meets Luffy, and he's like, "Yeah, we found it. You want to know where it is?" And then you got Usopp like, "Bruh, hell yeah, that'll make this easier." And Luffy's like, "Bruh, if you tell me where this is right now, I'll drop the journey right now. I'll go back home." Like,
Let's end the story right
Yeah,
now.
bro. It's like,
yeah,
don't
Like,
tell me.
listen, it's an amazing journey. I get so my first views and kind of watching this entire thing, I was like, oh, I get it. I get why there's so much of an attachment to it. It's because there's such an emotional resonance with the show and kind of like how people generally feel when you watching this and how you know, Monkey D. Luffy could be a
mhm,
standard shonen character for you, but the situations that he's put in, the people that he meets, the battles that he has to face, this is like a very enthralling series. Like I
yep,
mean, we're gonna get to the Arlong Park arc, which I think is pretty much the height of this East Blue saga,
yep,
and it's literally one of the strongest moments. Like I forgot I was rewatching it because I had watched it like a year ago in preparation for this, thinking we would do this earlier, but we ended up doing it this year. Um, and just that even the moments that happen there are just so powerful. But the Romance Dawn arc, I mean, it's a great introduction to Luffy, his origin story. There's
yep.
still enough where you kind of like you haven't peeled back all the layers, but there's still enough where you're like, okay, I get where the inspiration is coming from, and he eats the devil fruit, and gains his powers. Um,
I,
meets you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think one of my favorite things, at least about like the beginning of One Piece, is like you get to see the kind of character Luffy is, but also you get to see it through the people who he's facing. Like even in with episode one, where he's fighting Alvida, the ugly pirate or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
It kind of just shows you, like, pirates ain't all dudes. It's women pirates out here too. And then you
Amen.
get like, you know what I'm
We go,
saying?
we go, we go talk about the villains. We gonna talk about the
Yeah, yeah,
villains. I
yeah,
got
yeah.
them. I got them in a separate section. We're not
Okay,
gonna
okay,
go
okay,
through the. We're
okay,
not
okay.
gonna go through like everything as like arc by arc, but we're
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
gonna tell these stories. But I wanted to say because in this romance dawn arc, um, we get the first person who he recruits, which is Zoro, which I've always
yeah,
had an affinity. To me, my
Hella
relationship with
interest.
Zoro, yeah, is like I see him
Always.
from afar, and I was like, he looks cool.
Who are you?
oh yeah.
Green hair, swords. Come on, man. I
Voice
Find
need
out
by
to
he
know
is
Chris
more.
Sabat, man. Like,
find out he is actually Piccolo. He is
Right.
100%.
Literally. But you could always see his picture and be like, oh, he's a savage. Like, you just gotta figure out everything about him.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, it was like the one of the best characters you could probably introduce really early because you
Hmm.
still get that. I need a bond personally when I'm
yeah.
like diving into something like this because Luffy is easy to follow. Like, and again, I would probably say it's more my mistake that I just never got attached to the character. But like, I don't know. I kind of feel like it made more sense for me to like feel the character more as an adult than I did back then. I think like the comedy and just like even a little bit of arrogance and kind of like brainless moments, it actually makes the character more meaningful to me. Like I had a good time just like figuring out his relationship with Zoro and it not
Hmm.
necessarily being like a brotherhood, at least at this moment, but they respected each other on a high level.
And I think they both respected each other's like what they wanted to accomplish. Zoro wants to become the
Yeah,
greatest swordsman of
Right.
all time, and Luffy wants to find the One Piece and assemble, I guess, with the greatest, I don't know, pirate crew
yeah,
of pirates of all
Yeah,
time at this
yeah.
point.
yeah.
Um,
Pretty much.
yeah, it's an amazing kind of like I've always seen him from afar. I'm glad that I kind of got to experience him up close because I'm like, damn, this guy is cool as hell. Three swords. I'm like, that is original. And one thing I'll say about all these that I'll say about One Piece, I think all the designs for the characters are very unique and they're very good.
They can't be dubbed, bro.
Yeah,
They can't be redone. This is kind of like some of the best female designs for something that's fairly old. I think it withstands the time. Like the designs are very very good, and I know that getting through it visually like is maybe it can be difficult for some people, but like you get the understanding of like where it's going and why they look the way they look or like how their designs are and the colors. I think the colors will get you through it regardless.
oh yeah, most definitely. I think you even get to see, like, as you go on, like Oda is very very creative with all of the designs. Like even later on down the line, like as designs get more fleshed out and polished, if you see like some
Oh
of the
yeah,
later characters, but then you'll see something random with like a cool character, but he's like a giraffe or something, man. Like how you got a cool character that's a square giraffe, or a dude who has a giraffe growing out of his back. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and a
Or
clown. I mean, clown and like even clown looks or clown like
yeah,
type edits or like. I think normally I would just this is just me personally. Like I wouldn't have any interest in like following something that has that aesthetic, but it just works in this because the world is so fucking wonky.
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And then I want to move on. We're going through all the characters right now. I want to introduce because he introduced another major character, Nami, who is to
Mhm.
me
Hmm.
was right up there with Zoro actually, and probably I don't know how people generally felt towards Nami in the beginning, but I like the cut of her jib. I think now
Yeah,
in 2022, it's kind of very forward as opposed to how kind of anime was back then. This is
She's
a
not
girl.
useless.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
And
Like
she's not. I don't know if it happens later at some point or at some point, but she's not a love interest. Does it happen later at some point?
No.
Okay,
good.
she's not
She
a
doesn't.
love
She doesn't
interest.
even need it. She doesn't
Like
No,
even
like
need it.
you get the Sanji moments, which I know we'll get to eventually, but like
Yeah.
nah, Nami is all in her own league, and in my opinion, she's probably the most interesting character up to this point, just
I agree.
because of like her
Absolutely.
backstory and everything. Like
I agree. I agree. And just how she's introduced and kind of like you can get a sense that she's not the way she's introduced, it isn't explicitly told immediately, and then you kind of find out, and it's the whole her backstory becomes a lot more important and powerful
Yeah.
once it's all told, which it is told in a couple arcs, after her
mhm,
introduction. But you introduced to Nami, who joins it as the Straw Hats navigator, because you need a navigator, you need someone to kind of like so they know where they're going and build maps and all this other shit like that. We're later introduced to Sanji. Oh well, actually, Usopp comes before
Usopp, I
Sanji.
think. Yeah.
yeah, Usopp
Okay,
first.
Usopp. You always need the coward of the bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
Niggas stand up.
Yeah, just to maybe he starts as a coward. He may not end as a coward. I don't know. Does
Hey
he?
man.
he grows. He definitely grows. I will say that. Like he has his moments where it's like, you might be kind of, you might be a little suspect for that. You know what you doing? But at the end of the day, he always pulls through. Like even in his own art, he was trying his best to like pull through for the people around it, for his village and everything like that. And it is cool. Like we got to see like early on, you know, spoiler alert, who his pops is, and like his relation to Luffy in that way, and like how
Hmm.
he was an influence to Luffy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
so, him getting invited on board, all amazing too.
So he really is Krillin. Like he really is the Krillin of the series
Yeah.
in a way.
Just mixed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just mix. Nah, he has the same voice actor as Krillin. All this stuff was blowing my mind the first time I watched it. I was like, "Yo, the entire cast is doing the show. How many voice actors were they really out there in the world
Must have
during
been a
this
fun time,
time?"
man.
Nah,
Yeah,
during that time it was kind of crazy. Well, they had to do it justice because with the 4 kids thing, I think a lot of those characters were also like early Pokemon dubbed actors, or they were playing like in Shaman King. I think one Sanji was voiced by Joey Wheeler at a certain point. So I'm
Mm,
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So and not to say that they were like bad voice actors, but it was just like the writing direction and edits that made it like
right,
nah,
right, right,
yeah,
right. Of course. I mean, we go back around that time. It happened in kind of all 4 kids anime. You talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, you talk about
Oh
Pokemon,
yeah.
you talk
They
about
just
everything.
hmm
yeah.
The
It just
edits
happened.
and the voices and everything that kind of goes for it. I appreciate. I think now, growing later down the line, talking to a lot of voice actors, I kind of appreciate the 4 kids just because of the. I think for the time and for the audience, they did display like a great character acting. In
yeah.
terms of there's very distinct characters, like you
Mhm.
remember Joey Wheeler, you
Of
remember
course.
Yugi's voice, you
I mean, I
remember
wasn't
Tristan.
9 like, oh, this sounds no, I was like
Yeah,
this was
you
hey,
did.
this is Joey Wheeler.
Yeah, man, and they try to like put a character to the person, so all these characters essentially become somewhat memorable. But as people grow older, they sour on it and stuff like that. But you
Well,
introduce to Sanji, the cook of the group, the chef of the
yeah.
group,
Yep, the lover boy.
the lover boy. That's you, Jeff. Um,
I like Sanji. I'm not a cook, but
I think that's Jamal's favorite character.
but I would assume so.
Yeah.
But yeah, the swag is impeccable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
absolutely. And from there on out, I mean, we have pretty much the team. I mean, the team that we're gonna take through the East Blue Saga arc. It is Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp. Why do I keep doing Usopp last? But you know what? It's because I love
It's okay.
Sanji.
I mean, that's fine.
I want to ask you guys, especially. Well, I definitely do want to ask AD. Of all the villains that occur in this saga, which ones are your favorites? Like, or do you have? Is there are all of them distinct and fun for whatever reason they have?
Um, I think they all are fun in whatever, like in their own context. Because I like going back and just like rewatching the beginning of One Piece for so many times. I get to pick up on like each of the like key aspects of how they play into you know the character that Luffy is, and even to a deeper extent, how him showing his character against all of these others, the kind of person Nami is. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, so I think with like, what's his name, Kuro,
yeah,
like
Captain
he
Kuro is.
he was a cool. He was cool. He was like, but at the same time, like with him, I I ain't really dig him in the sense that like you know he did all of this finesse because he didn't want to be a pirate, and that really threw Luffy off. Like, bro, you gonna rat out your friends? Like you trying to finesse the system,
That
get
shit
all
got
this.
dark too.
Yeah, it got dark real
It got
quick. But
dark.
like
Yeah, yeah.
he was swagging on Luffy for a little minute,
He
and I was like,
was.
all right, like you can't really hate on him. And then you got like Buggy, who is like as you get to learn more about him and his character, it's like, all right, bro, I might have to ride for Buggy a little bit because like that, like in the beginning, you might see Buggy as like a goofy character until you talk about Shanks and you see his relation. But as you keep going, even with the last few chapters that have just come out, Buggy is really one of the best characters that is really unspoken of when you think about villains in One Piece, and, and even to that extent, I think you get to understand with a character like Buggy, um, the kind of depth that One Piece has when it goes to like redemption arcs. I
Hmm.
want to say for villains, like there are a lot of characters or a lot of villains that are in Luffy's way, and they eventually, they don't have a turn face or a turncoat about them, but they gain some respect for Luffy and are like, you know what, he not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of nice. And then you got someone like Arlong,
Arlong
and
probably most impactful,
yeah, definitely
especially
the
I,
most
especially with
impactful.
especially with Nami's situation.
he definitely feels like. I mean, granted, I think there are definitely. I think the battle with Don Krieg just kind of felt very very tough for Luffy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I do think Arlong kind of represents kind of like this final boss of this entire saga,
pure evil.
j-
definitely.
and and I think just the arc in general kind of represents it begins to open up like what's truly going on in this world, especially with like
Corrupt Marines and all of that stuff, man, and
yep.
like
Hmm.
racism. Like we even got that with Axan Morgan, and like we see that early on too, and it's like, all right, what's going on here? But with Arlong, this is a little bit deeper. Like the fact that like there are corrupt Marines partnering with pirates, like, and
Come
they
on
ain't even
now.
like normal pirates.
Come on now. This is regular. This is every day. This is real life. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is what it is. But I
Yeah,
mean, I think the villains that take place in this East Blue Saga arc is just so. I mean, they feel important. From everything that I've read, a lot of them return in some form or fashion. I mean,
yeah,
the One Piece world is so expansive. I can't imagine them not being seen again.
Hmm.
yeah. I think like the only person is like Don Krieg, but that's because the other villain in that arc, Mihawk,
Mm, there you
is
go.
that man. Listen,
No, yeah.
That was a great
oh,
moment.
that's a very great moment. This man ran Don Krieg out of the Grand Line, and he chased him on a little coffin boat. he pulls up to Zoro and is like, "Hey yo, I know you're trying to fight me. You heard about me.
He's the greatest swordsman of
He
all
is the
time,
all
and
time.
and and I love the moment because it's not like we're gonna see this happen in like 500 chapters or something along those lines. It
yeah,
happens then
You about
and
to get this shit
there,
right now.
and you
exactly.
and you see Zoro really measure himself up in that moment. And when he's defeated, he says, "I promise I will never lose another battle again."
Yeah,
And it's just a different kind of like look. It's just a different perspective on it. It would be like if I mean, I'm sure it kind of happened, but it would be like if Yuji fought, let's say, Gojo
Hmm.
episode 2. You know what I'm saying? Let me see
yeah.
how I measure up to you with my powers and stuff like that. Let me see how Sukuna measures up to you, and or I guess Sukuna and Megumi.
I
I
mean
mean, it
that
might
that
It did
technically did
happen.
happen.
Yeah, that did
That did
happen. Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you might see that, but I think it was just a great moment, and I think most moments. I mean, Zoro. Most moments with Zoro, I'm for. It just is what
Yeah,
it is.
Well, yeah, you can.
yeah.
It's easy. He's probably the easiest character to just like really fan over
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Like, and that's one
every
of them
series
things.
having.
Like, and one of my favorite things about Zoro, at least like just rewatching stuff in the beginning, is like you don't get a chance to. You get a chance to see like their small beginnings. Like Zoro couldn't cut a stone cage to free Luffy back in Buggy, and
Yeah.
yet Mihawk pulls up and cuts a whole ship, and it's like, hey yo, I don't know if you really want to do this, bro. Like, you just seen what he did.
He's just, we're seeing the earlier stages of it. And then what's great to me is like I've never watched a series past episode 200 or maybe like 2. But seeing their growth, seeing the time skip, hearing of all the events that happen, stuff like that. Like One Piece, it's a journey. It's a journey
Yeah,
in itself. It's a true journey. Moving back towards this kind of East Blue Saga arc, the beginning of this, I want to ask AD. I want to ask you, what do you feel like is the most underrated part about this East Blue Saga part, or maybe
Ooh.
even like an underrated scene or something that like,
Something people just don't talk about
oh,
yeah,
enough.
and maybe like
okay.
it comes up later, or something along those lines, or just like an underrated thing that you feel like, you know,
I'm glad you asked me this question because
go ahead.
there's one particular episode, and it's the one where like Luffy and them are just randomly traveling, and Nami's like, "Oh yeah, we about to hit Treasure Island." Da 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 da. And you meet the dude who's like stuck in a little treasure chest, right? And like he's
Okay.
been stuck there for about 20 years, and he's protecting like all of these animals, but also there's this like treasure at the top of this cliff, and he doesn't know what's in there because like when he was there with his crew or whatever 20 years ago, he found it like randomly, and he was like, "Hey yo, there's something up here, like y'all come check it out." He fell off the cliff, got stuck in the cave, his crew left
Hmm.
him, and like he's just stuck there. And he's like, I've been trying to protect this island from that treasure because at some point I do want it. And then Luffy and them comes along, and he's like, I'll go get it for you. Luffy goes up there, checks it out, says, "Oh yeah, treasure's still up here. I'm not gonna throw it down. You're not gonna get this." And everybody's like, "Bro, what the fuck, dog? Like, you not gonna get this man's treasure? He waited 20 years. And the dude is like, I kind of figured this would happen, but there's really nothing there. Is there?" And Luffy's like, "Yeah, nah, they all empty."
It's
And
all empty. Didn't Luffy ask him to join?
yeah, he asked him to join. And that's one thing about Luffy. Like, if he feels like you're a friend, like
Yeah.
when it comes to like certain pirates, like they either make you submit or like trap you. Like that's what happened to Kobe and
Right.
everything. But like with Luffy, he's like, that's not how you treat your friends. Like everybody gotta, if you're gonna be on my crew, we gotta be friends. Like we gotta be equal. I'm gonna be the captain, of course, but like at the same time, we're friends at the end of the day. So I want you to trust me because I trust you in the same way. So he was like, I respect your ambition, I respect your dream, and you're gonna need a new dream because you spent 20 years of your life protecting this treasure that isn't even
It's
here
not there.
anymore.
Yeah.
So like, and I think that's one of those things that really encompasses One Piece. Like when you think about what you're doing, and I think also Hunter x Hunter to an extent, like kind of does that, where it's like, um, when you feel like you've found your dream or you accomplished something, like you want to be able to have something after that. What are you going to do after that? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And a lot of people focus on like, well, is the One Piece real? Is it not real? And it's like it's not even about that. It's about like, the journey. Don't even worry about like the treasure itself. You're gonna find your treasure. And
Yeah.
for that
Hunter
guy,
does
his
do that a
treasure was
lot.
eventually like the animals that were there, like all of the friends that he made. So I think like that's one of those things that's like very underrated
What
and
was
like
bro's name? Some
uh,
with a some with a some with a G.
um dang, I forgot his name too because I was just
He had
watching
like
the
a
episode.
unibrow. I
Yeah,
just remember
yeah,
him having like
yeah,
a unibrow or some shit.
yeah. I forgot his name,
Yeah.
man, but I just watched the episode too. It's gonna come back to me later.
It's crazy. Like I there's so many different things. That's why it's like, you're talking about over 1,000 episodes, 1,000 chapters. They have to be
Yeah.
those little things to be able to extend the story this long and continue to build upon that. You have to continue to build upon like so many various things of the series, and it's you do
You
realize
gotta
it's
know
not
that.
really about the One Piece. It's really about the journey and the growth
Friendships.
and
Yeah,
friendship. Of course,
You know where to go.
the
Yeah.
power of friendship has never been stronger than in this episode than in the show. Um, any standout moments? East Blue Saga. Just standout moments. I have a standout moment that I know for sure to me was like the realest shit ever that I've seen. It's as real as it gets. We're the Jay-Z and Jeezy. Um, it happens in the Arlong Park arc, obviously.
oh yeah.
Um, it's the moment with Nami and
Episode 37.
there you go.
Yeah.
Episode with
That's my favorite.
Nami and Luffy. And
That's that Demon Slayer episode 19.
Yeah.
to me, nah, it just made it
I know
just
what you
like
mean, though.
it was just kind of like
Full circle. Just really
yeah,
circle.
and just someone Nami who's always had her guard up becoming just existing in the most vulnerable place that she's ever been. And Luffy, without a doubt, without yeah, she stole money, yeah, she stole the ship, yeah, she stole things, but he understands. I think he feels that out of anyone there, out of Sanji, out of Zoro, out of Usopp, I think he feels more than anything that she's true and genuine despite it all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's why he supports her no matter what, even after all the things that she did to her. And when she lets out that cry for help and that despair, and Luffy walks forward and his, essentially the squad is there just chilling and they're like,
Hmm.
yo, let's head out.
Mm.
That to me was like, oh,
If Luffy can understand someone's like cause, it's like AD
or
said, like,
heart, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like he's gonna be all about it. He's even if it's not his same direction or what he necessarily believes in,
Exactly.
he definitely follows through.
And that's one of those things like you kind of see like as you meet like you meet Nami early on and then like you just kind of watch her mannerisms around Luffy like with the Syrup Village thing with Kuro and he was like, all of these folks are my pawns and Luffy just snaps and is like, who treats their friends like that? Nami was like, yo, why are you upset? You know what I'm saying? Like and then she just instantly gets it because she at first she was like, I don't trust pirates like that. All I care about is money and tangerines. And
She
then
thought
we
she
get
was a
the
city
slow.
girl.
Yeah,
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 real simple.
yeah. You just kind of like figure out like her backstory when you get to Arlong Park and like all of those things that actually mean something with the tangerines, what happened with her foster mother,
Hmm.
like just
All the things, but what she's done to try to save her village, right? Like so,
yeah,
Arlong Park. It builds up all these, all these journeys and all these friendship. It builds up to the story of the Arlong Park, where you finally get Nami's backstory of essentially she is part of Arlong's crew. As their is she their navigator too? I believe.
yeah. And he
Okay,
wants her. He traps her because she was good at making maps. So he's like, I want you to chart me everything in the world. So you know, because she's a good navigator, she can weather any storm. He just holds her hostage pretty much for her whole life, and she just sits in a room just making maps for all long. And yeah,
but she
man,
has the agreement. She has the agree with him for how many of these things again? And what are
a
they called?
100 million.
100 million.
100 million, and essentially like if I pay that back for you, you have to leave my town alone, essentially the entire town, no matter what.
Yeah.
And as she gets closer and closer to it, and she gets closer and closer, and she has to do all these things, she's making friends, she's, betraying pirates, she's heading out on her own and living a very dangerous life. And then learns somewhere along the journey, no matter what, she has to face her friends and stuff like that. Like Usopp and Zoro and Sanji, they all have these little moments where they're eventually like beaten up by Arlong's crew.
Hmm.
And she realizes at some point, or at least Arlong pretty much says, is like, I'm not I'm not letting you free ever. Like ever, bro. Like you can I know you thought, but really, I'm not letting you go ever. And that to me was like, I guess it broke her in a sense. Well, it definitely did break her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but just building up to that moment, and her realizing that she's completely helpless in the situation, and she's been played, just kind of like she sacrificed so much of herself, she gave up so much of herself to be able to um appease this man, and he was just like, fuck out of here, like I'm
Uh,
you're never.
you got to start over again. Like
Yeah,
he put out the anonymous tip. Police didn't even come to like arrest Arlong. He was just like, "Yeah, I'm here for the money. You a thief? Say less. Where the stash at? We raided it." Everybody in the village is like, "Hey, yo, we got a person, a fish man. Like no disrespect, but like he don't even live here. He don't belong here." it, it's just crazy, man. Like the corruption that you see across the board. Like the corruption doesn't stop in One Piece either. Like it kind of shows you like there are no good or bad guys because even in
I
like
mean, it's about pirates for sure, but
Everyone's
yeah, there
rogue.
isn't.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
but like you even see like with Kobe, like his dream was to like become one of the greatest Marines, and like he found out early on like Marines are really corrupt out here. Like
He's like, I don't want to do this shit, man.
yeah, like is this really where I want to be? And then like of course when you get to the Logtown stuff, and then you kind of see like the other half of Marines of like with Smoker and all of them that
hmm
you really get a chance to like okay like where are we really finna go? Like are we really finna be like on some crazy stuff like with Arlong and like that part, man? It's just
Loketown are just like so many various menacing things that are just on the horizon. Like,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man, like it really just it's the climax to it's like the intro, man. It's the end of the intro, and now
Right.
we really getting into the deepness that is One Piece. Like all
It,
all,
it,
all of the stuff and even that arc is insane. Zoro wanting to cut off his arm to see whether or not he even deserves to be the greatest swordsman. You got Usopp, testing himself with a different sniper. Sanji having a little cook off or whatever. It's small things that
Everybody kind of like working on their craft in a way.
yeah,
mhm.
like they're really preparing themselves for this large journey ahead, bro. Like it's
Speaking of craft, AD, before we get you out there, I do got to ask you something because I don't know how like in the future talking about One Piece, like, can you explain to me Luffy's like gear techniques? I know this is a little ahead, but I
oh
I
man.
feel like it's not talked about enough. Like just like his transformations and like I think it's really cool, but I don't know a lot about. I know he has like what 5 or 6 or something like that currently.
So it's rough. So officially it's five.
Hmm.
Well, officially it's four because it's like his base form, and then
Right, right, and then
what we
gear
do
two.
call gear two is like Super Saiyan, and then so on and so forth.
Right.
And then it's like he has variations of his gear four, and there's three of those that kind of like he can transform between. And the way that those kind of work, we just got that like revelation. I want to say before the month break happened around like May-ish or like somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Uh, but essentially, it's just like Luffy's imagination and creativity allows him the freedom of movement with his body because it gives him the properties of rubber. So whatever Luffy thinks that he wants to do, he ends up doing it. So like even in
Kind of
the
embodies it.
beginning of One Piece, like when he's talking to Shanks, and he's like,
Mhm.
"I want my punches to be as strong as a pistol." You know what I'm saying? And then he creates gun pistol.
Gotcha.
It's stuff like that. It's whatever Luffy
He just
really
takes it to
desires
another
himself.
level,
Yeah,
increases his power.
exactly. And it's like that's one of those things where it's like it's kind of cool. Like he gets that he has the ability that allows him to do that, to really make his dreams come true. Whatever he thinks of, he does it. Of course, there's like Toon Force with it, and Oda is like, I want to capture the essence of like something like Tom and Jerry or something like that. It's
Sure,
like
sure.
it's kind of cool for that. But with Luffy, like, yeah, that's pretty much how his ability works. And it took 25 years for us to figure out that it's not even actually the gum gum fruit for real, for real. Like they
It's
changed the whole
crazy.
name. It's
That's crazy.
crazy.
If I was introduced to One Piece and was kind of told about like his gear technique early, I probably would have been a little bit more like, I need stuff like that personally.
Yeah,
So not knowing about it right away, I feel like it maybe like hurt my like original thoughts on it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I feel you, and I
So I
think
think
that's
it's
one of
really
those
cool.
things. I think it's like because we don't even get the first gear technique until around, let me see, around like 270 or something like that, around that area.
Right.
Because like every villain that he meets in the, well, every major villain he meets in the Grand Line, up to that point, kind of like washes him. Like the first villain that he meets for real, washes him like twice, and it takes like miracles for him to actually like beat him for real, for real. And then the second villain is his natural born enemy. Like he's destined to beat him. Like he is super effective against that guy because he's electricity, but he's also, because that guy's electricity, he's washing everybody else around him. So only Luffy can beat him. And then we get to what is Water 7 Indies Lobby, which is personally that, if you guys ever watch up to that point, that's really where
That's it,
you
huh?
should become a One Piece fan. That's where really
Okay.
everything pops
Okay.
off. Like,
If you can get there.
yeah, if you can get there, you will be rewarded. I promise you. Every One Piece fan will tell you, if you can get there, you will be rewarded with some of the greatest character moments, greatest backstories, greatest like fights. You know what I'm saying? Like that is really where One Piece becomes One Piece.
Got you.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a few questions before we get out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
Just random quick questions regarding One Piece. All right. First question: East Blue Arc. Who is the most important character that shows up in the East Blue Arc that's not one of the main characters?
Probably Buggy. If it's not Shanks, it's probably Buggy. If it's not Buggy, it's a mentioned character. Well, I would
Mm.
say Mihawk, but it's also a mentioned character by the name of Jinbei, and he's the one who actually sent Arlong out there.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Um, what is your favorite? What's your favorite arc past this?
Oh man, listen. Oh shit. Uh, it varies because it varies depending on how I'm rewatching things. Like right now, I'm not gonna hold you. The current arc Wano is probably my favorite just because of everything that's happened. But if I had to throw that out the window, I would have to say either Water 7 Indies Lobby or Marine Ford. Like those two, you will probably hear like everybody say those two are probably like the epitome of One Piece. Like those are peak One Piece. Also, I like Scott Pia. I really love Scott Pia. The I'm not gonna hold you. Everybody hates Scott Pia. I love Scott Pia.
What is what is Monkey D. Luffy's finest moment in One Piece?
Finest moment, really the Scott Pia. So it's the Scott Pia thing, but it's like it's two things in Scott Pia. One is like at the beginning of the arc where um he's fighting this guy and he's voiced by Justin Cook, and so you can kind of hear like the Yusuke in him, right?
Okay.
But dude is just like trashing Luffy. He's talking about like, bruh, the old age of pirates don't exist. You talk about dreams, like, you know what I'm saying? Fuck out of here with that. It's all about money. It's all about fame. You know, we really out here on some real pirate stuff. And like he's just ragging on Luffy. And Luffy, he's really picking up a fight in the bar with Luffy. And Luffy doesn't want to swing on him because he's like, the guys like that aren't even worth it. And then he meets a certain character that tells him dreams don't die. That's a very powerful moment. But then when he see later on in that moment, um, the guy steals a lot of a treasure that Luffy and them are looking for, and not looking for, but they meet some guys who are trying to help them reach Skypiea, and they hold some treasures to kind of figure out, okay, this is Skypiea. Long story short, guy steals the treasure. Luffy goes to face the guy that he didn't fight and beats him in one punch, and it's like the most amazing moment ever. He has two
I've seen
moments like
that.
that.
I've seen
That
that. Yeah.
moment, and then the second moment where it's like a slavery auction. Those two moments, oh my god, peak Luffy.
Gotta get there though. Gotta get
Gotta
there.
get there, but like you
Nah,
are
you just look on
rewarded.
YouTube. To be honest with you, I've seen it. I've seen it.
But you are rewarded with the context, though. I'm saying like
Of
because
course, of
it's
course.
the build up with it, but like oh man, the second one with the slavery auction and like he knocks the dude back into the manga, like insanity. I love that moment. All peak Luffy.
For people to get through this, would you recommend the anime or the manga?
It's tough.
We know they're both long, so just give us the real deal here.
One you're gonna
So
finish before the other. I'm pretty sure.
That's true too.
so here's the thing, right? If you really want to get through it, I do recommend the manga up to Wano, up to around Wano or like I want to say like late 800s to early 900s because that's when they get the Dragon Ball Super Broly staff in there and they just start animating some of the craziest moments.
Got you.
Like I want to say watch the anime for real because like in the anime there's really no filler in the anime like whatsoever, but there are like
That
long
is sick.
opening
That
moments.
is sick and twisted.
Sick to
Here's-
say with this many episodes. You telling me I can't
they
skip?
do have filler. I'm not gonna hold you, but they introduced a filler in between arcs, so like
Gotcha.
you at least get like a good pacing of like what they're doing and some fleshed out character moments that you really wouldn't get in the manga. But at the same time, like in the manga you'll see certain side stories as well. Like I think you guys, I don't know if you guys saw it, Meelz, you might have seen it, but there's like an arc with like after Buggy lost his like limbs when Luffy launched him, he meets the guy in the treasure chest and they have like a little moment or whatever. And that actually wasn't filler. Like there in the manga, Oda does this thing where like the first page of certain arcs or whatever or certain chapters is its own story and
Yeah, I've
every
seen
week
that.
every week he'll do like a next portion of the story, so you're essentially getting like arcs within the chapters, and once you complete the arc for the like for that part you get a full story of what these characters are doing, and then later on down the line they get brought back up into the main story of like yeah this is what so and so was doing all this time, and now you get to get them introduced back into the story. Like that happens with certain Arlong characters, that happens with Buggy like I said, that happens with Kobe. I would recommend the manga for that specifically, but also like
Okay.
get to like Wano or like Whole Cake Island. You will be rewarded with like some of the most insane stuff.
Absolutely. Well, listen, AD, thank you. You are the MVP of this episode by far.
Absolutely, man.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
Appreciate
Listen,
We could not have done. I can only imagine how Jeff and I would have bumbled and fumbled through this episode without you being here.
man, listen.
I really do want to explore this world deeper, man. I don't know.
Just take your
Wait till
time.
Kai, man. Wait till Kai.
Take your time. That's also what I recommend. I know the task seems daunting for everybody listening out there. Literally, just take your time. Like
Hey, man,
One Piece
you
ain't
take your
going nowhere,
time.
obviously. But like once you're there, just put on like 2 or 3 episodes. You
It's
ain't
supposed
gotta
to
rush
end
it.
soon, isn't it?
Yeah, in like 7 years.
All right. Well, here we go. That's how life is. Thank you, AD, for coming through. Obviously,
Thank
this
you,
is the
bro.
final
Yeah, no
episode
problem.
of our 2002 Samurai Kame House stint. So we are going to be sailing off this thing, heading back to the lookout somehow, from a boat to
Some
the
way.
lookout. We'll be heading there, and you know what? We're gonna take a little bit of a break because we've been doing this for. This is by far the longest Samurai Kame House that we've done by far.
Yeah. It'll be cold soon.
The most journey, yes, easily. We'll be back, and this fall, I think we're gonna do some cool stuff. Like we're gonna do some cool stuff. We'll be
Movies,
AD,
man.
yeah. AD, you'll be back at some point.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you already know.
AD, yeah.
Man, once that Chainsaw Man premieres, we got to talk about that.
Good God.
We got to look at it. We got to talk
All
about it.
hand in hand.
The fall. Listen, this might be one of the best fall for anime.
This is it. We're gonna get there.
That's ever existed. So I
We
look
weathered
forward.
the COVID storm to get here.
Absolutely. So there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things. So you guys, make sure you continue to follow the lookout on RNC Radio.
Yes.
Make sure you continue to follow us on Twitter at the Lookout RNC, and just follow us in general and keep talking about anime because we'll be talking about anime. But until then, until we meet again, Don't meet us there, beat us there. This is the Lookout. We'll see you guys next time.